guys, how's it going everybody? My name is Blitzwinger, ladies and gents. Welcome all back to a brand new LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 showcase video. And today we're going for the Spider-Man showcase. So we're going to take a look at all of the Spider-Man and women characters that are in the game. Now, of course, I want to preface this because I know, for example, one of the common questions that I am sure I would receive is like, hey, why would you not include a character like Arachnido Jr.? I think, from what I understand, I don't know much about this character, but I believe that there's a variation of Spider-Man. He looks very Spider-Man-esque as far as the outfit, and Arachnido, I would assume, is like spider, the meaning of spider in probably Spanish or something along those lines. So again, I'm only going to be including characters where their title is specifically Spider something. So there are other characters that we could obviously consider here, like, hey, what about Silk? She's technically a Spider-esque character, but it's not as specific as, let's say, Spider-Woman. So we'll get to all of the different characters here today, one by one. Of course, as you saw before, we had Peter Parker there. I really like the transformation that they have available for both Peter and Spider-Man. So back and forth. So, of course, as you can see, in order to become Spider-Man, he swings in and then comes back as Spider-Man. Now, of course, the outfit that we are currently looking at here is actually the Homecoming outfit for Spider-Man, which is kind of interesting that this game kind of balances, to an extent, the movie stuff along with comic book things, because you'll see there are some characters, like, for example, right next to him here is Gwen Stacy, who's obviously a very cool little character model, but then we can go on ahead and transform her using the same exact animation into Spider-Gwen. So it is really cool that we actually do have both comic book representations and, of course, some film representations of these different characters. So I do like that quite a bit. Now, as far as Gwen Stacy, she has some really cool, unique abilities. Like, of course, if you don't know, she does play the drums in the comics and such, and she's in a band. So she does have the ability to pull out her drum set and then rock out and shatter some glass, which is something that is unique to her as a Spider character. They all have webbing abilities, of course, so that's pretty common and universal across the different Spider characters. So that's definitely quite neato. Here's a nice little team-up move between Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man, so they can go on ahead and web up the situation and defeat their foes as they please. So as you can see, that's how the actual webbing works. So once you strike an enemy that can be webbed, you will actually web them up. So that's definitely quite neato. Now, as far as an actual summary of her abilities, what we can do is we could go on ahead and pause always on whatever character you're playing and then take a look at the core attributes. So you can see that, for example, Spider-Gwen has quite a few different abilities that she can go on ahead and utilize. And then we do have a character profile for every character, as well as a nice little first comic appearance tag down below that. So if you ever want to pause and take a look at the actual profiles, you can go on ahead and read those. I'm not going to read them each and every single one because it would obviously make this video about 14 hours long. And then, of course, her first appearance was actually in Edge of Spider-Verse #2 back in 2014. So she's almost a 5-year-old character already, which is kind of interesting because you'd think Spider-Gwen is super duper duper common and new, but she's actually been around for a little while now. So that's definitely quite cool. Now, of course, by the way, when they say that first appearance, they mean specifically Spider-Gwen, because if we were to go on ahead and take a look at Gwen Stacy, you'll see that she has been around for far, far longer, all the way back to 1965 in Amazing Spider-Man #31. So keep that in mind, that we were reading the character profile there for the character of Spider-Gwen, not Gwen Stacy specifically. So, of course, for Parker here, or Spider-Man, it will actually be interesting. What will they say for his first appearance? Amazing Fantasy? Yeah, okay. Amazing Fantasy #15 in 1962 as Spider-Man, even though the costume that we're currently looking at is the Homecoming costume. So that's a bit of an oddity there. All right, so from there, let's move on to the next thing. And this is the homemade suit that we see again in the Homecoming film. So obviously, since Homecoming is the newest take on Spider-Man, that's the reason why we get these costumes in the game. But it actually does look quite cool. I think they did a good job with the hood and everything, so it looks neato. I do wish that maybe he would have been able to actually put on the hood, because I think that would have been pretty neat. But he does have some cool moves like that one right there, as you saw, with the webbing. And then, of course, we could web sling our way out of there to avoid any other not particularly pleasant situations. I don't know if you can transform to Parker. as this guy. Yes, you can. Okay, cool. Good to know. I actually did not know that. I wasn't certain. So that's pretty neato. All right, so from there, last but certainly not least, on the main Spider-Man character selection, we have the Symbiote Spider-Man right here, which looks tremendous. Looks very, very, very cool. And obviously, this one should have a different profile and a different appearance, first appearance, because this is when he actually appears as Symbiote or Black Suit Spider-Man. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 252 back in 1984. So he was still Spider-Man, but this was the first time that he had encountered the symbiote. And of course, then he slowly but surely realized that the symbiote in him, although it made him extremely powerful, was not something that he should be holding on to. Let's see if he can transform back to Sparker. Yes, he can. Okay, cool. And notice how the webbing is actually black for that transformation and that entire process. So that's definitely cool to, again, make that symbiote suit unique and different to the regular costumes. So from there, let's go on ahead and continue onwards and forwards to some of the other Spider-Man versions that we have. So here we have Spider-Man 2099, who looks tremendous, and one of my personal favorite just designs for a costume, because he really does look really cool. He has, of course, the claw hands, so that's definitely quite neat. I love that texturing that they tried to put into the suit, where they have like little dots and everything, because it almost looks like he's got little nanobots all over his body and such. They actually did nail the cape as well, so that looks very, 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 very cool, neato. Super duper cool to see. And of course, just like all the other Spider characters, he himself also does have the hyper jump available to him, so that he can go on ahead and use some webbing to launch himself into a nice session of web slinging and taking down some criminals. So before we move on from him, we should probably take a look at his character profile. So again, lots and lots of attributes there. But then there's the character profile right below that, Miguel O'Hara, of course, or O'Hara, and he appeared in Spider-Man 2099, number 1, back in 1992. So there is the character of Spider-Man 2099. So from him, let's go on ahead and move on to, whoops, okay, a team up between Gwen Stacy and him. That was a pretty fancy move. But we're going to move right along to Spider-Man Noir. So this is a really, really cool costume. I think it's one of the most cool-looking costumes because it's so different to all the other Spider-Man. You know, like when we look at all the other costumes, they have certain things that are uniform. Like, hey, they have a big spider logo either on the chest or on the back, and they carry over certain elements and patterns and colors like blues and reds and so on and so forth. Whereas this costume is just totally out of the blue. It's kind of steampunky. It's very... I don't even know how to, like, it's almost Shakespearean, kind of like how over the top and like weird looking it is. So it just looks really, really cool and unique. He also does have guns, which is pretty crazy for him because it's obviously not very Spider-esque. But he can go on ahead and blast those off. He does still have webbing abilities, so that's definitely quite neat and helpful to get around Manhattan or Manhattan Noir as you play the game. Now, as far as his first appearance, I actually do not know when he first appeared, so let's find out together, shall we? Spider-Man Noir back in 2009. Wow, okay, so he was actually appeared as the Spider-Man in that issue, which is pretty cool and unique, so I do like that quite a bit. But it's kind of interesting. I had thought that the character was around for far longer than that, but he's actually been around only since 2009, so that's pretty cool, I guess. So, from Noir, let's go on ahead and start moving down the list here and down towards this side of things, because we have quite a few other Spider-Man to take a look at. So, of course, let's begin with... Maybe we should have a breather and take a look at the Spider-Woman character. Why not? So here's Spider-Woman, and she herself has obviously an energy blast available to her. She has a very different set of skills than Spider-Man. Like, for example, she does not web around, she flies around. And I really love how they added the tiny little touch of having the wings pop out as you fly, which makes sense, of course. That's what she does in the comics and such. So it's just really cool how you can't see them when you're just running around and fighting and battling and using your energy blasts and such. But then suddenly, as soon as you're in midair, boom, you got the wings popping up, and they do look quite cool and neat. So from there, let's go on ahead and, whoops, take a look at her first appearance. So she, wow, 1977, back in Marvel Spotlight number 32 as Arachne, maybe Arachne. I don't know how to pronounce that, obviously, because I'm completely messing it up. But she has been around for quite a while as well, so very cool. I did not know that she has been a character that was around for quite this long as Jessica Drew. By the way, you might be wondering if all these other Spider-Man characters that we've been looking, everything once we've looked past Symbiote Spider-Man, you cannot transform into Parker. So like Spider-Man 2099 is just Spider-Man 2099. You cannot become Miguel O'Hara or O'Hara. Spider-Man Noir, same thing. So unfortunately, like here with Jessica Drew, she's not in the game. You only have her masked version or her superhero identity, which is Spider-Woman. So from there, let's go on ahead and move along to Scarlet Spider, which is right over here. This is one of those weird suits that I don't know why in particular, but I've always been quite a big fan of. I just think it looks really, really cool, but I totally understand how some people could find it to be not a particularly exciting looking suit, because it's very much similar to something like the homemade suit or something like that, because it's got the hood and everything, and it's basically kind of a jacket look. But I don't know why, I always found the simplicity of this suit to be really, really cool. So for me personally, I'm quite a big fan of this particular costume, so I'm very happy that it was included in the game, and I think they did a tremendous job with it overall. I really like the eyes that they used for this one too. They kind of like have way more animation and expression to them, which looks really, really, really cool. So this character appeared back in 1975. Wow, this character's been around for a while as well, as the Spider clone back in Amazing Spider-Man 149. Of course, this was part of the Clone Saga, right? Which was not a particularly good series of stories, so let's just leave it at that, I guess. So moving along from there, let's go on ahead and take a look at the next Spider character on the docket, which would be Spider-Ham, aka Mr. Porkins. That's what we call him all the time. I don't even know why. But he looks cool. I do wish that they would have used the shorter legs for him, because I think that that would have looked much better. Like, it would have made him look a bit more unique. Plus, from what I remember in the comics, anytime I've seen this character, he is shorter than a regular character. So he's not the height of like a Parker or someone like that. So I do think they should have made his legs the shorter Lego legs, and I think that would have worked far better for this design. But outside of that, I don't really have any other complaints for this character. I mean, it's Spider-Ham, so how crazy that we have this character playable in an actual Lego game, which is just crazy. You'd think this would be like a custom or a mod or something like that, but it's an official release, which is super duper cool. Now, let's together find out, when did this character actually appear? Has he been around for a while? What? Really? Peter Porker was around back in Marvel Tales starring Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham #1 in 1983. My goodness, was that like a good year for Pork or something? Was there big fans of Pork? So they're like, we gotta make a spider version of this. This would be incredible. So I don't know how that character came about, but it would be kind of funny to hear someone discuss that. Whoever invented the character and such would be probably a pretty interesting and fascinating conversation. Next up, we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, who I really wish they would have done also transformation for, because that would have been really cool too, especially because they have done, they did make Miles Morales, from what I remember, at least playable in Lego Marvel Avengers, I want to say. So kind of odd that they didn't just like carry that over, especially because the costume pretty much carried over. But I really love this costume as well. Again, this is Ultimate Spider-Man. If you haven't read Brian Michael Bendis's, why did I say Michael Brian Bendis? Let's just say Bendis. If you haven't read Brandis's? Now it's Brandis's! My goodness, I just came up with a new name for him. Bendis's run on Ultimate Spider-Man. You have to do it. Make sure you read the original one, which was with Peter Parker, and then, of course, it transitions the mantle over to the character of Miles Morales, who is, again, a really, really cool take on Spider-Man, and very, very cool design and super duper neat costume. Let's see when his first appearance happened. That was back in Ultimate Comics Fallout #4 in 2011. So he has not been around for all that long either. Very similar to a character like, for example, Spider-Gwen, who is quite new, but feels like it has been around for a while now. So quite an interesting little tidbit there for Miles Morales. And then, ladies and gents, we will go on ahead and transform once more. This time we're going to take a look at Spider UK, who I don't know anything about. I guess it's just the UK's version of Spider-Man. I like that they tried to incorporate the flag into his costume, so I think that that's pretty cool. It's also kind of weird that a lot of times they basically just like, hey, if it's Captain Britain or whatever it might be, it's just the incorporation of those, of whatever flag that character belongs to into their costume. So I guess that makes sense though. Like if you're going to call yourself Spider UK, you probably should have something on your costume that resembles the UK. So it kind of makes sense, I guess. So let's take a look at his first appearance. This was back in the Edge of the Spider-Verse #2 in 2014 as Spider-Gwen. Wow, so this is the newest character on the list, isn't it? Spider-Gwen was 20... Oh, maybe Spider-Gwen was she 2014 as well? I don't remember now. I guess we could take a quick look here at Spider-Gwen. When was her first appearance? Flip the card. 2014 as well. All right. Oh, wow. It's in the exact same issue, actually. So that's kind of cool. That's definitely quite neato that they actually appeared in the exact same issue together. So that is super duper cool to see. All right. So we still have 2 other characters to look at. So next up from here, we have Ock aka Superior Spider-Man. Now, it is interesting because, like, technically, I guess we should take a look at Dr. Octopus as well, who is in the game, by the way. So he is playable. There he is. But we do have to keep this in mind. The fact that Superior Spider-Man, he was still Peter Parker. Like, the physical body that he was using was Parker. It was just the mind of Doc Ock. So technically, it's like, it's still Parker, physically speaking, but this gets into a whole nother, like, philosophical discussion of some sort, which we're not here to have. So, with that in mind, let's see when he first appeared. This was the first appearance of, I guess, Doc Ock, so it's kind of interesting that they don't actually quote us the first appearance of Superior Spider-Man, that character, which I think was maybe 14 or 15, or no, actually, that might have been earlier, maybe 2013, but it was in the later 2000s, not as early as 1963, which was the first appearance of Dr. Octopus back in the Amazing Spider-Man issue #3. So, obviously, kind of an interesting tidbit here, because for Gwen Stacy, for example, they show specifically her first appearance, and then we have the first appearance of her alter ego, in this case, Spider-Gwen, as 2014. So, kind of an interesting little tidbit to consider there for this character. And then from here, we have our final character to take a look at, which I know some people might not even necessarily consider as a spider character, but this character does have the word spider in their name, so it sort of makes sense to go on ahead and showcase her here. And I guess I'm kind of giving away the fact that it's a lady character. I just, for some reason, cannot see her right now. Where the heck did they... Where is she? That's not her, that's not her. Okay, this is really bizarro right now, because I feel... Oh, that's not her. Okay. Hey guys, my apologies about that brief interruption, but we are back at it again. So, I done diddly goofed. I was looking at the alphabetical order, and then I realized, wait, this final character is actually part of the DLC pack, which is Lady Spider, who is, again, like Spider-Man Noir, kind of a lot of the elements that I said about that character apply to her as well, where she is very, very unique and different to the other takes that we have seen so far. She, of course, herself has those extra tentacle arms, just like Superior Spider-Man does, and actually, of course, we have Iron Spider. Now, a lot of people are saying, like, hey, we didn't get Iron Spider, what's up with that? I think we will be getting Iron Spider as part of the Avengers Infinity War DLC, because, of course, if you don't know, that's the suit that we're going to see in the Avengers Infinity War film as well. So, supposedly, if it's in there, it would make sense that we would be getting that design for... Whoa, okay. Look at that. It's like a crane machine. It's like a Beyblade. Lady Spider, Beyblade mode, go! That's a hilarious move. I actually did not know that she does that, but that is really, really, really funny. So, of course, as you can see, Spider-Man is very, and Spider-Women, I guess, are very, very well represented in this game. There are a ton of very, very cool, unique takes on the Spider mantle. This is May Riley, interesting name there, from Spider-Verse #1, 2015 as Lady Spider. Wait, Riley? Isn't that Ben Riley, like his uncle? May. Is this Aunt May? I don't know, but if it is, that's definitely a really unique character element to consider. So with that in mind, ladies and gents, there you have it. A total of 15 different spider-related characters. Let me know down in the comment section below which is your personal favorite. I would definitely love to hear a civil discussion about that. Of course, like always, do not forget to have an absolutely fantastic day. I will hopefully catch each and every single one of you lovely folks here next time. Peace out. I'll see you later, alligators. Bye-bye, everyone.